Live from KSAT 12, the Nightbeat starts right now.
A man was shot and killed by San Antonio police after they say he threatened them with a cutting instrument. What exactly that is was not clear. This happened just before midnight last night at a hotel in East Houston Street. Police Chief William McManus says they responded to a 911 call by another person who stated that a man was engaging in self-harm. He adds 3 officers were trying to talk with the man holding the sharp object when he threatened them and then rushed towards them. That's when Chief McManus explained all 3 officers fired and killed that individual. No other injuries were reported. All 3 officers are on administrative duty as per protocol. 2 men were found dead in a southeast side driveway earlier this morning, and SAPD is still trying to figure out what exactly happened. Police tell us that a shooting occurred just before 8:30 this morning on DeWitt Avenue near Whitney Avenue. They had a caller found the 2, a father in his 60s and a son in his 30s, dead from gunshot wounds. Police on scene said it appears one man shot the other and then turned the gun on himself. It's unclear which of the 2 was the initial shooter. As we learn more, we'll get that to you. And a busy day for SAPD as they're also investigating a situation where a woman trying to stop a fight was the one who ended up getting shot. Police tell us this happened just after 4 this morning along East Commerce and East Houston Street. They explain a group of people got into a fight, and at some point a woman stepped in to stop it when someone pulled a gun and shot her multiple times. That woman was taken to the hospital. No word on her condition at this time. Police are now looking for that shooter. However, SAPD was able to stop one problem that they say has been going on for years. They tell us this individual has been robbing women of their peace of mind. They arrested him after multiple reports of him being a peeping Tom. This is 34-year-old Ricardo McCleary. Police tell us that he would attach his phone to a selfie stick and use it to film women inside their apartments. They add McCleary may have been doing this since at least 2023. McCleary has been charged with stalking. Meanwhile, Universal City Police say they recovered all of this in a traffic stop turned chase, narcotics and a gun inside of a person's car. UCPD tell us an officer tried to stop a car on 1604, but the driver had other plans. The suspect led police on a pursuit that ended in a crash in Converse, but the suspect wasn't done yet. They then took off on foot. Eventually, they were caught inside the car. However, officers say they found drugs, thousands of dollars in cash, a gun, and magazines. The suspect faces a wide range of charges from evading arrest to drug and gun charges. And taking a look at live cam, we've stayed under 100 degrees or triple digits the entire day. Some spotty showers, possibly helping out with that.
Yep, and although we stayed under 100, some areas were right on the cusp, and San Antonio was one of them. We got to 99 degrees today, but if you went just to the south by just to the next door county in Atascosa County, we did see some areas getting to 100 degrees. Here's a look at the peak temperatures across the south central Texas. Pleasanton got to 100 today, similar to Del Rio. Now tomorrow morning for drop off for kiddos in the morning, temperatures still sitting in those 70s, feeling a little more muggy and a little more humid due to that excess moisture. But in the afternoon, it's going to be warm. Pickup time is going to be about 98 degrees. Mostly clear, but it can feel a few degrees warmer. But coming up later this week, we're tracking a very weak cool front, allowing temperatures to dip down to the 90s, low 90s, I should say, and that's also bringing some rain chances. I'll talk about what the cold front is doing, how long it'll stay, plus those rain chances coming up in just a bit.
Thank you. A new addition to the special session agenda at the state capitol could make a controversial drug more accessible. Ivermectin is a drug that's gotten more attention since the pandemic, and soon customers may be able to purchase it without a prescription. Night Team's Ari Oates shares the doctor's perspective on the push to sell the drug.
If passed, House Bill 25 would make this pill a lot more accessible for customers like you and me. And this pill is ivermectin.
Ivermectin is usually used to treat the kinds of parasites you might get from traveling in foreign countries, strongyloides or onchocerciasis, which is river blindness.
Ivermectin can also be used for things that doctors see on a more regular basis,
such as head lice, as well as scabies. It effectively works against the neurologic systems of these parasites and kills them.
However, one of the big issues is misuse, especially with the common misconception associated with COVID-19.
Primarily viral diseases like COVID or influenza, for which it really doesn't have any published data that shows that's ineffective. And so if people are taking it for unlabeled uses where there's clearly no benefit. They really are just putting themselves at risk for those side effects.
He says this is why it's important to always ask your pharmacist questions. As written, the bill would require a pharmacist to give each patient instructions on the proper use of ivermectin. If passed, the bill would also require pharmacists to send an annual report on the number of ivermectin doses that they sell each year.
It would sort of be a behind-the-counter access, much like you see with drugs like pseudoephedrine or Sudafed, where you actually have to register with the pharmacist.
As with any drug, there are side effects.
It can cause problems with your neurologic system or your liver. And in severe cases, people can have a very severe anaphylactic reaction to the medication.
And the side effects are one of the most important reasons to only use ivermectin as directed. The bill has not passed in the House or Senate yet, but it does have support from dozens of lawmakers. I'm Zaria Oates, KSAT 12 News.
Nearly 2 months after the devastating Hill Country floods, Kerr County officials have some good news regarding their efforts to clean up after that tragedy. Kerr County posted on Facebook that a combined 411,000 cubic yards of storm debris have been removed. That's enough to fill 32 football fields. Despite that progress, the county adds there's still work to be done. And what if I told you that by giving blood, you could win free concert tickets? Well, the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center is making that happen this summer. Anyone who donates at one of their 9 donor centers can enter to win floor tickets to some of San Antonio's biggest shows. Donate between August 24th and September 20th, and you could win tickets to the Jonas Brothers concert on October 18th. If you're interested, just scan the QR code on your screen to book your blood donation. And don't forget, from now until Wednesday, August 27th, the city is holding budget town halls where you can learn about their plan and ask questions regarding a budget gap. The meeting scheduled for next week is on your screen. District 5 and 6 will hold meetings tomorrow, the 25th. District 4 will have a meeting on Tuesday, the 26th. And District 8 will have a meeting on Wednesday, the 27th. You can find a full list of dates, times, and locations on our website, KSAT.com. And the city will vote on that budget on September 18th. Still ahead, a veteran and an artist showing the consequences of burn pits and the effects many still suffer with. We speak to the man behind this piece called A Hill to Die On. And as the Trump administration continues implementing tariffs, local business owners are having to adapt to a changing market. How they're switching gears and staying open. Next. Local businesses in San Antonio are feeling the impacts of global tariffs, those happening right now and those yet to go into effect. Our Devin Karp stopped by a local market to see how they're doing and to get their perspective and advice for other businesses.
The Farmer and Makers Market at the Pearl might be a relaxing way for folks to spend their weekend. But for the vendors, it's the most important stretch of a long week of work.
We put the time into the drink. We don't take shortcuts.
Take that template, throw it on a piece of hardwood, use a router, and create that leg.
So it's pretty much all of your everyday home essentials that I do non-toxic swaps for. So
business has been good in San Antonio, they say. The summer season treated them well, bringing in lots of customers, but behind the scenes, some things have gotten a lot more expensive.
We source our matcha from Kyushu, Japan, so the southern region of Japan.
Tariffs from the United States can have a big local impact. A 15% tariff rate on Japan has hurt Marissa and her business.
The farms we're working with were like, hey, we need to mail this out by this date, because if we don't, that's going to go from 15 to 24, potentially 34%. And it was really scary. So
a new executive order from President Trump will end the de minimis rule this Friday. It allows foreign packages worth less than $800 to enter the country duty-free. While it's already been suspended for China and Hong Kong, it's now going to hit the rest of the world.
But I choose to buy quality material because I try to produce a quality product for my client.
honestly, I'm so glad that I decided to source locally and use beeswax from a bee farm.
Dusty and Hannah say getting materials locally has helped their peace of mind and bottom line.
Well, it's helped me because my price hasn't changed. The material that I buy isn't cheap.
But it isn't just as easy as buying local. They say any business switching their supply needs to do their homework.
I would honestly just say research and then reaching out to people and just knowing your sources, knowing where they get their stuff, knowing how they make it, knowing who's touching it, who's making it, who's shipping. That's your best bet.
And a focus on shopping and selling locally goes a long way.
And I really don't think we would be in the position that we are now without the Pearl. It's such a platform and it's such a community, and there's just trust within San Antonio.
Devin Karp, KSAT 12 News.
Awesome stuff. Well, it was a beautiful day for a market. It was maybe a little hot, but not anything that
That's why the markets are in the morning.
the San Antonians aren't accustomed to. That heat continues, but again, not as bad as it could be because of so many rain chances.
Yep, and when you go to the markets in the morning, it's not as bad. It might be a little humid in the morning, but normally we see the humidity in the morning and then our daytime heating in the afternoon, but that's normally greeted by the rain chances you were just mentioning. Now this week, we are tracking temperatures still near triple digit, especially tomorrow with more rain chances coming up on Tuesday and Wednesday. Now we do still have more rain chances later on in the week, but Tuesday and Wednesday are the days we're watching for the greatest potential and the possibility of rain, and that's because of a weak Texas cool front. Not necessarily a cold front, because it's not bringing in that cold air behind it, and I'll get to that in just a second. But right now, still at about 10:13 p.m., we're still sitting in those 80s and even 90 degrees in Del Rio. Feels like 90 degrees here in San Antonio, already 77 in Kerrville. Now, like I mentioned, that cold front is moving through areas across the country currently as we speak, and as it does, all of that cool Canadian air mass is going to continue to push through, giving most of the country a fall-like conditions. We're talking about temperatures waking up in the 50s, some areas even in the 40s, and having your peak temperature in the 50s and 60s. Very traditional fall-like. But for us, that is going to stall just to the north, kind of right along the Red River or just to the south of the Metroplex on Tuesday. And as that does, we're still going to start to see a few of the showers on the leading edge of the thunderstorm make their way to San Antonio, but that's not necessarily going to stop our temperatures. We're still expecting them on Tuesday to get to those upper 90s, 98 in San Antonio, 101 in Laredo, but that cold front is going to be just to the north in between Waco, Dallas, where Amarillo on Tuesday, their peak temperature, similar to Lubbock, 60 and 61 degrees. That just shows you the powerfulness of this cold front. But for us, once again, we're not expecting any of those cool temperatures, sadly. It's still Texas. We're still used to the heat, and we are going to see a very small change in the temperature because of the rain chances. Now, like I mentioned, as that cold front's going to stall on Tuesday, that's going to allow those showers and those thunderstorms on the leading edge of the cold front to continue to mix with some of that Gulf moisture. And as it does, that's going to give us a chance of some thunderstorms Tuesday afternoon into the early hours of Wednesday morning. And Wednesday morning, we're not just greeted with that humidity in the morning, we're greeted with that chance of some thunderstorms and showers. And then we get to Wednesday afternoon and we see our normal typical sea breeze showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon and into the evening hours, with more chances of rain once again on Thursday and Friday. And we'll keep you posted, especially because this is still summer. School, though, is already back in session for some kiddos. So there's after school activities, and people just need to know what the forecast is with the rain chances. So we'll keep you posted on that. But as that cold front continues to stall just to the north, it's really going to push all that moisture down. And as it stalls just to the north, you can see in areas along Arkansas, Oklahoma, even getting into Kansas, where they're expected to see multiple inches of rain, whereas compared to San Antonio, most of the rain is going to be just to the east of us and along the coastal communities. So once again, we'll keep you posted. Don't be surprised if you do see some areas where you do see the heavier downpours possible, especially on Tuesday and Wednesday, as those are the 2 days we're expecting the heavier rain chances. And even then, some areas might see about a 40% chance of rain on Tuesday and Wednesday. So you'll definitely want to check back in with us, especially because temperatures only getting to 93. So although areas just to the north near Amarillo, even in Dallas, are going to be in those 50s, 60s, and 70s, we're still going to be in the 70s, just not as our peak temperature, just maybe as our morning temperature for the next week or so.
Well, as you mentioned throughout the weekend, the rain chances are still desperately needed, even though after everything we've seen, and it is keeping triple digit degree weather at bay. So
Correct.
It's a win that we'll take. Thanks for that, Shelby. Now shifting gears over to football, high school football, Friday Night Lights, a big thing here. Fairy tale creature mascots got to be one of the best, right? We have New Braunfels Unicorns. We have the Canyon Cougars, the classic, the Cougars. But now we have a new mascot The Dragons.
The Dragons. But still, nothing beats the Unicorns, right? The Unicorns is so good. Yes, we're venturing out to the new school on the block in New Braunfels. How the Long Creek Dragons are doing 1 year out from being eligible for the UIL playoffs. Plus, Jaden not feeling so blue despite dealing with an ankle injury. More on the Cowboys and Texans after the break.
I've been fortunate in my assistant days to be at places like Steele and Clemens where, we always joked, but it was true. It was like the SEC of Texas high school football, and definitely in Region 4 for sure. And so we want that here as well. We want to compete and make sure that we're on top of our game every week so that when we do get to that playoff moment, we're prepared.
Well, you see it on your screen. Long Creek High School is on track to join Class 5A Division II when it becomes eligible for the playoffs next year. And the Dragons are all about it in Big Board Sports. To be the best, you have to beat the best. And that's a challenge head coach Adam Harvey and the Long Creek football team is embracing as they anticipate joining Class 5A Division II. District 13 is a possibility with Alamo Heights and Bernie, but that's still to be determined. Now, Long Creek High School in New Braunfels won't have a senior class until next year when they can begin competing for the UIL playoffs. But right now, with just freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, Coach Harvey believes his guys are ahead of schedule, already two-time defending Battle of the Blizzards champions. If you know, you know.
It's a meritocracy here, so we're allowing those freshmen, if they can do it, to come all the way up. We've got a couple that might be able to play with us, under the big lights. But, we're about development first, and we're going to make sure our kids are safe.
I think we're going to do very good because this season, we did pretty good for just a freshman and sophomore. So next season, when we have a full class and we can play actual people for an actual playoff spot, I feel like we'll do really good.
Coy White, a 6'5", 240-pound sophomore tight end, according to him, is one to keep your eye on, especially when the Dragons begin their UIL legacy next season. For now, Long Creek will open 2025 hosting Wagner this Thursday at 7 o'clock. And speaking of this Thursday, we kick off the 2025 high school football season right here on KSAT 12 with our fourth annual KSAT Pigskin Classic. We'll have a pregame show and a live broadcast of Sotomayor versus Clark at Ferris Stadium beginning at 6:30. Well, Cowboys cornerback Trayvon Diggs is the closest he's been to playing live action football since suffering an ACL tear last season. Today, Diggs reportedly passed his physical and was officially moved from the physically unable to perform list to the active roster. Meanwhile, teams around the NFL have until Tuesday at 3 o'clock to finalize their 53-man rosters and depth charts. And former Longhorn running back Jaden Blue has a strong hunger for Dallas's starting tailback spot.
The versatility I bring, man. I could do multiple things, whether it's special teams, run the ball out of the backfield, catching passes, and, just having that explosiveness that, can break at any moment.
Well, Blue suffered a low ankle sprain on Friday's preseason finale, but the rookie is hopeful and feeling good to be ready for week 1.
It won't be a rash decision because we've been thinking about this for a while, and it all works itself out in the end. And I know we'll have, wherever those 53 guys are, we're going to have 53 tough guys who are mentally and physically tough and ready to hit the season run.
The Texans are waiting to see what Joe Mixon and C.J. Gardner-Johnson's statuses will be as the running back and safety rehab respective injuries. That puts Houston in an interesting spot as they try and meet the deadline for their 53-man roster. Now, coming up later in sports, Tommy Fleetwood finally captures his first PGA Tour victory. I like to say he's a golfer of the people, but That's just my opinion. Just happy for Tommy that he finally gets to celebrate one.
I was going to say, I think you are up there as top fans. I've learned a lot about Tommy in the short time that we've been talking about him. So congratulations to him. Looking forward to it. Also, when you look at the two football teams, preseason's meant to work out the kinks, but now both Lone Star State teams seem to have players with their own kinks and issues that they're also dealing with.
Which is unfortunate. That's why the preseason is risky to play, but it's important to finalize those depth charts.
Awesome stuff. Thanks for that, Mary. President Donald Trump threatening more cities with future deployments of the National Guard, while leaders in Chicago and Baltimore say they're worried after similar actions in the nation's capital. And a local veteran expressing the severity of veterans' issues through art. We'll introduce you to the man behind this piece, A Hill to Die On, next.
Part of their story that they told me was spending 5 nights on the stairs of the Capitol in Washington, D.C. as they got rained on. They were exposed to the elements. It took them 5 days for them to get anybody to sort of listen to them and get their message across. And I wanted to sort of highlight this in the painting, the stairs of the Capitol building.
The couple he's referring to is Army veteran Leroy Torres and his wife Rosie. They made it their mission to help veterans suffering from exposure to burn pits during the global war on terror. There will be a gala in Austin to help raise funds and awareness for service members struggling to get the health care and benefits they need. One local veteran and artist is doing his part to help share that story. Ibrahim Cáceres spoke to our producer Daniel Villanueva, and photojournalist Adam Higgins learned more about the messages that lie behind the painting, A Hill to Die On.
I wanted it to be a little bit more distinct and powerful. I used a paint roller to do the stars and stripes back there. And when it came time to do the stars, it's got to be something a little bit more powerful, a little bit more profound. And so I imprinted my own personal dog tag. I've got the skulls on there that symbolizes a lot of the death that's been recorded and reported over the last couple years of cancers and sicknesses that veterans are getting because of the exposure to the toxic burn pits. The graves, the soldier crosses, it's all in commemoration of the warrior. It's all beneath the main mission, and the main point of it is to kind of rise above it and rise up and keep going. Right after 9/11, the U.S. entered Iraq and Afghanistan and started building bases, and those bases quickly started producing a lot of waste. And so the quickest and cheapest way for the U.S. military to get rid of all that waste is to dig giant landfills outside of all the bases and light it all on fire. I still remember the smell of burning tires and burning plastic and burning ammo and burning trash and diesel fuel and battery acid and all kinds of equipment that they threw in there just to dispose of it.
What does burning ammo smell like?
Oh, it's a very heavy metallic smell. It smells like black charred metal is entering into your lungs and bloodstream, which it is. The symptoms were there with us when we got back from Iraq. I remember several of us kind of having breathing complications and coughing up debris for a few weeks after our return from Iraq in 2011. You know, back then you're not going to medical, you're not going to the hospital, you're not recording it. You don't want to bench yourself, right? Because when you do that in the military while you're in the Army, it's very, it's frowned upon. We're all young. We're all super macho and invincible at that time, and nothing's gonna stop us. It's not until years later we start feeling it and really wanting to do something about it. I like that it's going to something noble. That's probably the best part of it. I'm in service to it. I still have that spirit of a soldier, and that soldier needs a mission, and this is one of my missions here.
That painting will be auctioned off at the inaugural Gala of Valor that'll be held on October 12th at the Bullock Texas State History Museum in Austin. Those interested in purchasing tickets can buy them on our website, KSAT.com. If you would like to see the painting for yourself, you can visit the VFW Post 76 on 10th Street. It'll be there until September 7th. And while on the topic of those who served, the Bexar County program is helping military veterans. The county's Help to Vets program just got funded for another year. That means veterans and their families can get help with housing, transportation, and even food expenses. If you want to learn more about what they offer or how to apply, just give them a call at 210-435-7838 or visit bear.org/vets. Shelby, we've lucked out as far as heat because we know it can get a lot hotter. What do we have looking forward for the rest of the week?
Well, JP, we're going to be similar to what we saw today and yesterday. For most of the week, we are tracking rain later on, but so far it's been very seasonal and very average for us here in the year so far. We've only had 16 days where we've gotten to 100 degrees or more. Today, we got to about 99, so we were close, but year-to-date rainfall total so far in areas of San Antonio, we are above average, but the record over the last 8 or 9 years or so was almost 30 inches of rain back in 2016. In San Antonio so far in 2025, we have about 20 or so inches of rain, but we're not tracking anything on authority radar. In fact, we did see some light shower activity in areas near Seguin and Gonzales County earlier today, but that's continued to quickly diminish. And yes, we're tracking rain later on this week, but we're starting to see the tropics become a little more active. I'll talk about what you need to know and what we could potentially see for the tropics coming up after the break.
Shelby, looking forward to it. And still ahead, a closer look at the relationship between UTSA head coach Jeff Traylor and UTRGV's head coach Travis Bush. And after deployments to Los Angeles and D.C., the president is proposing to send National Guard troops to more Democratic-led cities. What leaders in Chicago and Baltimore are saying about the president's plans. Next. The list is growing. California, D.C., Chicago, and now Baltimore. President Donald Trump is proposing to send the National Guard into more American cities. This as tensions with state governors escalate. ABC's Jay O'Brien reports from the White House.
Tonight, President Trump threatening to expand his National Guard surge in Washington, D.C. to include other Democratic-run cities like Baltimore. In a post on social media, Trump, writing Maryland Governor Wes Moore, asked that I walk the streets of Maryland with him. If Wes Moore needs help, I will send the troops, which is being done in nearby D.C., and quickly clean up the crime. Governor Moore previously hailing Baltimore's recent decline in violent crime and telling Trump to keep the city's name, quote, out of your mouth. And responding to the president on CBS's Face the Nation.
The reason that I've asked the president to come and join us is because he seems to enjoy living in this blissful ignorance, these tropes and these 1980 scare tactics.
Days before touting his surge of federal law enforcement and mobilization of nearly 2,000 National Guard troops to Washington, D.C., Trump promising Chicago would be next.
Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent. And we'll straighten that one out probably next. That'll be our next one after this. And it won't even be tough.
But Chicago police data showing violent crime in the Windy City is down compared to this time last year. At a block party Saturday, Mayor Brandon Johnson responding.
What's being painted by the federal government is false. We love one another. We support one another. We put our arms around one another. We invest in one another because we know that we are our best keepers of one another.
Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker also pushing back, saying there is no emergency in his state that warrants Trump's federalization of the Illinois National Guard or deployment of active duty troops. Jay O'Brien, ABC News, the White House.
Welcome back. Your time, 10:42 this evening, and tomorrow a grim reminder of the 8-year mark since Hurricane Harvey. Another reminder to keep an eye on the tropics.
Yep, and we have a great special on KSAT. I actually watched it yesterday. The KSAT Weather Authority team took a look back at all of what they happened during Hurricane Harvey, and it's a great reminder too, especially because Justin Horn was there. He went out in the middle of the hurricane towards the Gulf Coast. And here's a look at Hurricane Harvey. Tomorrow's that 8-year reminder of what it did to the Texas coastline. It started off just as a tropical wave off the coast of Africa, closer to the Caribbean. And then it got closer and closer, and as it did, it went to the Yucatan Peninsula, created and strengthened and formed into a tropical storm, and then it got closer to the Texas coastline, made landfall just near Rockport and Port Aransas as a Category 4 hurricane. But something that Harvey did that was different than most hurricanes is just to the east of San Antonio, it did a little loop-de-loop. And as it did, Houston was able to stay on the dirty side, unquote, of this hurricane, allowing for that heavy rainfall to stay in areas of Houston, causing them to see in some areas 60 inches of rain. And then it made a second landfall just to the east in areas of Louisiana, and they saw about 132 mile-per-hour winds associated with Harvey before it finally went up into areas of Tennessee and Kentucky before it officially became post-tropical and died out. But it is still August, so hurricane season is still very active. Now, here's what we're watching. We do have a few tropical systems already starting to form, but what we're watching is another chance for another tropical storm to form. This is between September 1st and the 3rd, so next week already, as September starts next week. Now, landfall is still to be determined, but it could have some impact to the Gulf. Now, if this were to form, it would be Gabrielle, as just to the north of and to the east of Bermuda, we have Fernand. That formed yesterday, I want to say about that 4 p.m. update, but just to the south. This is that area we're watching. It's just about to enter the Caribbean. It's been going back and forth between a 30% chance of development and a 40% chance of development per the National Hurricane Center. And as it continues to have that cone, it's expected to move just into the Caribbean. As of now, not going into the Gulf, but you'll want to continue to stay posted as we'll continue to keep you updated. But Tropical Storm Fernand, it's continuing to strengthen little by little. It's about a 50-mile-per-hour winds associated with this. And the good news is it's not expecting to make land. It's expecting just to go up in areas in between Canada and still stay in the Atlantic before it officially dies out. And we are almost close to the peak of the hurricane season in the Gulf. It is peak right around August until October and November, but the peak date is September 10th. So we are close, especially because for us here in San Antonio and us here in the Gulf, we need the Gulf temperatures to get on the warmer side in those mid to upper 80s and even those low 90s in order to see some tropical development. And temperatures in the Gulf are still sitting in those mid to upper 80s, 86 to 87 degrees, which is fairly normal this time of year for the Gulf. Now, if we see any sort of rain for that one system I was talking about, it wouldn't show up this week. This week, like I talked about earlier, is just because of that weak cool front moving through portions of the country. That does not have any sort of tropical development associated with it, but we're still watching the tropics. It is still August, almost September, so it is a great reminder to kind of keep updated, and we'll keep you posted as we get closer to. But this week, temperature staying in those mid to upper 80s, even 93 degrees on Wednesday, associated with that weak front coming through.
And then looking at the forecast for the entire week, another week for parents to send students to school with an umbrella just in case as we monitor all those rain chances.
Exactly.
Awesome stuff. Thanks for that, Shelby. Shifting gear over to sports, the UTSA Roadrunners and the UTRGV Vaqueros have more in common than most people would know.
Yes, and it's a big deal for UTRGV. A closer look coming up at the friendship between Jeff Traylor and Travis Bush and how that relationship has helped foster UTRGV football. And it's finally Fleetwood at the top of the leaderboard on Championship Sunday after the break. Welcome back. Let's take you to the final round of the Tour Championship. The 18th hole, Tommy Fleetwood with a 3-stroke lead. Third shot on the par 5 from off the green, and Fleetwood lands it softly on the green, and it rolls to 9 feet from the hole. Fleetwood with victory in sight as the crowd runs to the 18th green. Fleetwood looking to put it away. His birdie, though, his birdie putt is just short. But that'll make for an easy par putt to win it. Fleetwood gets his first ever victory on the PGA Tour, and he wins the FedEx Cup too. It's a long time coming for Fleetwood. Love that celebration. All right, talking college football now. For the first time since 2019, the UIW football team yesterday was held to just 6 points against unranked Nicholls State in their Week 0 FCS opener. Now, UIW came in ranked 4th nationally, so a big upset. And Southside High School alum Richard Torres was under a lot of pressure, completing 23 of 35 passes for 175 yards, along though with 3 picks, and he was sacked on 3 different occasions. The Cardinals' 204 total yards of offense were also the fewest that the program's had since 2017.
Anybody that's a Texas high school coach, I'm going to be a big supporter for them getting to the college world. Well, the Texas High School Coaches Association is just so important, and you got to have inroads there. There are guys that have been successful without it, but it sure helps to have it.
UTSA football head coach Jeff Traylor and UT Rio Grande Valley coach Travis Bush, they have 2 things in common. They were both former high school head coaches turned college coaches. Butch was at New Braunfels Canyon before this, and now they're also good friends.
Coaching's coaching. That piece isn't any different. In fact, we're running the program the same way and really focusing on building that culture and the foundation and building man. Coach Traylor's done a phenomenal job, even with us on the schedule, of being an open book and allowing me to come up there and spend time with their program, whether it's practice, whether it's structure, whether it's meetings, and really just getting some organizational stuff. But anything I need, he's always responded. He's always helped me out, making that jump, from head coach from high school to college and what that entails. So they've been phenomenal to help me, as other guys and several mentors, in time in this business. You don't just you don't lean on yourself. You got a lot of guys that have helped you and will continue to help.
Well, UTRGV will host its first ever football game Saturday in Edinburgh against Nicholls. UTSA opens up its season that same day, also on the road at number 19 Texas A&M for a 6 o'clock kickoff. Good luck to UTRGV. All right, it's time now to hit the road with our Rensselaer Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Play of the Week. All right, we showed you this play yesterday, but it was that good. We have to show you again and make it our play of the week. The Missions versus the Amarillo Sod Poodles, top of the 5th, when Jesus Valdez, he drilled one down the left field line, but that was Wyatt Hoffman with a Superman play, making the incredible catch, and the Sod Poodles would get the win. But with a catch like that, Hoffman, you get our Rensselaer Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Play of the Week. I'm sure you guys talked about it and raved about it last night, but for those that didn't catch that play, Hoffman with an incredible catch.
I thought he might hit the side there of the stands.
I know, luckily he didn't. You would hate to see him get injured on that play.
It's a bird, it's a plane. It's not Superman, it's Wyatt Hoffman.
It's Wyatt Hoffman.
And although the Sod Poodles got the best, the Missions, it doesn't get much better than that.
Doesn't.
Thanks
Bravo, Wyatt.
Thanks for that, Mary. We'll be right back.
Coming up tomorrow on GMSA, we're getting a closer look at a crime prevention program that was put on by San Antonio Police and UTSA. We're going to take you inside the apartment complex where this was put to the test.
Looking forward to it, Patty. And don't forget, from now until Wednesday, August 27th, the city is holding budget town halls where you can learn about their plan and ask questions regarding a budget gap. The meeting scheduled for next week is on your screen now. Districts 5 and 6 will hold meetings tomorrow, the 25th. District 4 will have a meeting on Tuesday, the 26th. And District 8 will have a meeting on Wednesday, the 27th. You can find a full list of dates, times, and locations on our website, KSAT.com. The city will then vote on that budget on September 18th.
Starting tomorrow, we're going to be waking up with temperatures in those mid to upper 70s, still seeing our temperatures increase to near triple digits, and we're going to continue to have those mostly clear skies tomorrow and off and on throughout the next week or so. But what we're also watching is the rain chances. 30% chance of rain Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday is when things start to quiet down just a tad, but we're still going to be very seasonable. This is normal for us here in the month of August to see temperatures in the mid to upper 90s and daily rain chances from about 2 to 8 p.m. So don't forget, for the kiddos going to school or any after school activities, to bring the umbrella. And the umbrella also works if you're going outside to picnic for the shade and to shine us and keep us away from gorgeous Mary glowing.
Speaking of shining, could you show the viewers your new bling?
Beautiful.
Engaged.
Newly engaged.
Engaged. Get your heart out, viewers. Thanks for joining us.